public. Peace. This is the enemy's public. I am Bro.Nasir. This is the vent. The vent part 2. Cowards with perceived power, with the law behind them. Before I get into it, I'm going to play a selection from the homie Wise Intelligent, the DJ Pocket remix of the Blue Klux Klan.
Merrily, I just be thoroughly getting your shit poppin'. The Blue Klux Klan on the black man's conscience, like them slave patrols and night watches became modern police departments, heartless beasts, sheets, they burn crosses. That's why night they like to wear badges, and it's been this way from day one. Saying them catch that slave when he run, makes him shoot him dead with that gun, like they hunt and slaughter for fun. Black man, woman, daughter, and son. Why should we think that a pig's prison has been infiltrated by group of racists when all facts show that they've been that ever since the creation of the slave plantation? Hating everything black, in fact, one drop was the rule, and every cop knew that. That was enough to string a black man out, pull him over, and justify homicide us. Lines say fear for his life in the system, give him paid leave, you know that's a vacation. Chief of police telling us to be patient while they conduct their own investigation. Oh, now they need sensitivity training, but the pigs never needed. The white boy shooting in the movies just talking motherfuckers like flies, counting guys, white guys still taking a lie. Oh, heaven, I swear for God, just that show us I'm a black man. Gotta stay alive any way you can when you're living in the land of the Blue Klux Klan.
No altar know what the devil do. No altar know what the devil do. No altar know what the devil do. No altar know what the devil do.
Actually, this shit might have to reverse until we take a life for a life. Living in the land of the Blue Klux Klan might not stand a chance if your ass ain't right. And if you before the judge and prosecutor in the middle of a jury full of white folk kids, ain't this shit and they know you innocent, but they let a nigga sit for like 33 years. Remember little people, remember Anthony Hill? Should I mention politicians getting paid off business? If you want to keep it real, remember the crime bill 1994, Hillary and Bill Clinton give a nigga 3 strikes, lock him up. Leasing labor, they the same slave traders, prison plantation, major corporations, crime enterprise, human rights violations. This is at the root of police occupation, mercenary training, police state nation, taxpayer raping, militarization, criminalization of non-white faces, keep them in their places, state population, and police don't kill them and they can't be cases. State ain't great cause the whole state racist, hate state sanctioned, but they can't say shit. Rap this fat, get dropped from the playlist, rap this fat, get dropped from the playlist, treated like a felon when the melon and the greatest. Say this, oh heaven, I swear for God, just that show us I'm a black man. Gotta stay alive any way you can when you're living in the land of the Blue Klux Klan.
No altar know what the devil do. No altar know what the devil do. No altar know what the devil do. No altar know what the devil do.
Peace. This is the Enemy's Public, and I am Bro.Nasir. Again, today is the event, part 2, cowards with perceived power with the law behind them. I'm going down to Camden County Sheriff's Department in South Georgia, where 3 Camden County Sheriff Office employees, sheriff officers, were arrested and charged in an inmate's beating. Now, it was a brother who was charged in September by the name of Jared Hobbs. He was charged with driving without registration and paperwork license, and he also had CDS on him, according to them. Yet, when he was taken to Camden County Corrections, he started experiencing, emotional distress and everything. So they put him in that area of the prison. And then he began to kick the door of the cell, according to what prisoners said and according to what some of the officers said. Now, police are supposed to be professional, and when they have prisoners at the prison, the inmates are in their care. I know that's a far-fetched statement, especially the origin of prison and the origin of policing in America altogether. Yet, this is what happened to the brother when the officers engaged him in the cell.
Eric, thank you. Now, a major new development in this beating of this inmate at the Camden County Jail. 3 Sheriff's Office employees seen in this video have just been arrested and are now facing charges. We've also learned those 3 employees have been fired from the Sheriff's Office now that former inmates' attorneys are asking the Department of Justice to open a bigger investigation. Tark has been following the story since we first saw the video and just listened to a news conference by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. Tark?
Well, the GBI just stepped in to investigate this beating, and days later, these officers have now been arrested. The beating of 41-year-old Jared Hobbs occurred back in September. It wasn't an isolated incident, according to his lawyers. Civil rights lawyer Harry Daniels says since that video came out, other injustices inside the detention center have been brought to his attention. Following a week-long investigation, GBI officials say they've reached a conclusion that what you're witnessing here is a crime committed against an inmate in the custody of the Camden County Sheriff's Office. Mason Garrick, Braxton Massey, and Ryan Beagle are charged with battery of an inmate and violating their oath of office. Harry Daniels is inmate Jared Hobbs' lawyer, and he suspects this isn't the only injustice occurring behind the walls of the jail.
Mr. Hobbs' case is not the only one. This is not a one-off incident. Since this story broke, multiple people came forth, and these are valid claims. I mean, you can imagine the claims that we get all the time, phone calls we get across the nation.
One of those cases, according to Daniels, involves a former sergeant at the jail who claims she was wrongfully terminated for flagging what she perceived as excessive and unnecessary force against inmates. News4Jax has learned the jail faces at least 2 lawsuits alleging excessive force of other inmates. Civil rights lawyers say the jail is plagued with a culture of violence. Daniels wants the Department of Justice to investigate what he perceives as valid claims.
When I say valid claims, I'm talking about video, injuries, a lot of litigation, and some things you cannot explain. You can't explain how a middle-aged man go inside a jail with no injuries and look like somebody sitting through a gauntlet. And those stories are coming out. out of fear of retaliation. A lot of those people is afraid. But it's not just a bad apple. It's a bad apple orchard here.
Daniel says he also wants the DOJ to investigate if the crimes committed against Hobbs had anything to do with his race.
Let's make no mistake about it. This is a black man getting beaten by 4 white officers in South Georgia. All right. You have one black officer standing off, not really trying to intervene or trying to intervene. He couldn't intervene, but the optics of what they are. So we want the department just to come in to investigate as whether this was hate, is racially motivated.
Jail employee Braxton Massey, who is facing charges, had been employed for 6 months at the jail. Mason Garrick had been there 18 months. Ryan Beagle worked for the sheriff's office for 3 years. What remains unclear is whether or not the Department of Justice will take up this case. Joy?
Now, 4 white officers beating on one small brother. One of those guys, one of those devils, were at least 250 to 300 pounds. The one in the blue shirt. They was all over the brother so much to the fact that the black sheriff officer couldn't even get to him. That's how much they were swarming him. He couldn't get to him in the cell. He couldn't get to him in the hallway. That's how much they were swarming him. And it's typical of these cowards, because as small as that brother is, he probably would have whipped their ass one-on-one, as small as he is. And that's why they went in there the way they went in there. They're swarming the brother, beating him. From my understanding, they said that they pulled out one of the brother's dreadlocks. And it's typical of cowards who more than likely wouldn't even approach any of us if they didn't have the weapons on their duty belt or the so-called law behind them and the radio where they can call for backup. They wouldn't even approach any of us if they didn't have any of that. And 9 times out of 10, that's the only reason why they take the job, because they want to beat on some of us and they could exercise some perceived power on people and maybe get a chance to beat on some of us and have the law back them and then justify it. Yet, following an investigation that involved the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, the Camden County Sheriff's Department announced Tuesday the arrest of 3 employees they said were involved in the beating. Yet I seen 4 people beating on the brother Jared Hobbs and 1 black officer who couldn't even get to him because they swarmed him that much. Now, we should know that we are in perilous times and that these things take place all over this nation. And if we don't realize that we are at war on all fronts, even a physical war, that we just refuse to engage. I'm not saying that we should be the aggressor. I'm just saying that we should fight with those who fight against us. And this is a form of aggression. Now, if that brother had size on him and had one hit of quitters, in each hand and he was just dropping them, he probably would have been charged with assault on all of those officers. In fact, that's what they charged him with. They charged him with assault on all of those officers after they did what they did to him. They charged him with assault. And if that camera wasn't in that cell and in that hallway, the charges probably would have stick. They probably would stick. Because that's the time we've always been living in. And prior to the cameras, police did those type of things and just got away with them because they get away with it with cameras showing. It's like they thumb their nose at the camera. Because when you see the auditors out auditing the police accountability and making sure they're respecting people and upholding the law, a lot of them don't even care that people have cameras in their faces and they're so afraid of a camera and they try to use their perceived power over a man with a camera and they feel threatened by the camera. Now, we are going to have to stop running our mouths so much and organize against these crooked cops. You notice I said against the crooked cops, those who come to work, do their jobs efficiently according to their policy of the department and obeying the law themselves, because if you're going to enforce the law, you should be obeying the law and not try to violate people's rights. Those who do that, that's respectful, and I'm not talking about you, but those of you who beat on people, who violate people's rights, who misuse your perceived power, anything that happens to you, whether you're fired or whether somebody stump you out or worse, you deserve it. You deserve it. If somebody put a steel toe to your skull for misrepresenting the department, for beating on someone, or misuse of your perceived power, if somebody put a steel toe to your skull for that, you deserve it. Now, also, these insurance companies that insure these police departments should be held accountable. That's who we should target. That's who we should sue, the insurance companies, and make the police department a liability. If the police department become a liability and they keep having to pay out policies, keep having to pay out settlements, they will drop the department. They'll drop that department. So whatever police department is in our radar as a trouble department, we should look into who insure, what company, what insurance company insure that police department, and sue that insurance company. Because whatever officer is out here being a thug with a badge and gun is a liability to the department and to the insurance company. We should also if the mayor is not going to hold the police department accountable. For instance, if you're in New York and Eric Adams don't hold his department accountable when they do wickedness, sue the mayor, you should sue him, tie his ass up in litigation until it's tiring and tiresome to him. Tie him up in litigation because he's a former police captain and he's a company man when it comes to this police department, and he behaves as if he's still on the department. So we need to tie them up in litigations. What's good about LA, I don't know who they replaced Villanueva with, but it's good that he's gone. The next thing that should happen to Villanueva, the former sheriff of Los Angeles, is an indictment, and his ass should be in prison. He should be in prison. Now, these are outright cowards. It takes cowards to do this. I'm going to run back the video that I showed of Camden County Sheriff deputies jumping, attacking, and beating on Jared Hobbs, one small man in a cell.
Eric, thank you. Now, a major new development in this beating of this inmate at the Camden County Jail. Three sheriff's office employees seen in this video have just been arrested.
It don't take all that.
And are now facing charges. We've also learned those three employees have been fired from the sheriff's office. Now that former inmates' attorneys are asking the Department of Justice to open a bigger investigation. Tark has been following the story since we first saw the video. Just listen to a news conference by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. Tark?
Well, the GBI just stepped in to investigate this beating. And days later, these officers have now been arrested. Beating a 41-year-old Jared Hobbs occurred back in September. It wasn't an isolated incident, according to his lawyers. Civil rights lawyer Harry Daniels says since that video came out,
peace to the brother, Brown Flat Power God. Thanks for coming through,
brought to his attention.
Following a week-long investigation, GBI officials say they've reached the conclusion that what you're witnessing here is a crime committed against an inmate in the custody of the Camden County Sheriff's Office. Mason Garrick, Braxton Massey, and Ryan Beagle are charged with battery of an inmate and violating their oath of office. Harry Daniels is inmate Jared Hobbs' lawyer, and he suspects this isn't the only injustice occurring behind the walls of the jail.
Mr. Hobbs' case is not the only one. This is not a one-off incident. Since this story broke, multiple people came forward, and these are valid claims. You can imagine the claims you get all the time.
Straight punks.
Across the nation.
One of those cases, according to Daniels, involves a former sergeant at the jail who claims she was wrongfully terminated for flagging what she perceived as excessive and unnecessary force against inmates. News4Jax has learned the jail faces at least two lawsuits alleging excessive force of other inmates. Civil rights lawyers say the jail is plagued with a culture of violence. Daniels wants the Department of Justice to investigate what he perceives as valid claims.
When I say valid claims, I'm talking about video.
They wouldn't even let the black officer get near him.
A lot of litigation, and some things you can't explain. You can explain how
peace to the brother Knowledge X. We're supposed to respect these grafted devils.
And those stories are coming out out of fear and retaliation. A lot of those people was afraid. But it's not just bad apples.
Daniel says he also wants the DOJ to investigate if the crimes committed against Hobbs had anything to do with his race.
Let's make a mistake about this. This beating like four white officers in South Georgia. Right? You had one black officer standing off. Not really trying to intervene. Trying to intervene. But the optics of what they are. So we want the public just come to investigate as whether this was racially motivated.
Jail employee Braxton Massey, who was facing charges, has been employed for 6 months in the jail. Mason Garrick had been there 18 months. Ryan Beagle worked for the Sheriff's Office for 3 years. What remains unclear is whether or not the Department of Justice will take up this case. Joy?
Yeah, it definitely was racially motivated. whenever we encounter them. That's the reason why they probably pulled him over in the first place. It's just that, he was in violating of traffic laws, and they say they found some CDS on him, but that's no reason for them to do anything to him like that. Even if he was kicking the door, they had no business putting their hands on him like that. They thumb their nose at the camera. They don't even care if a camera's there. A lot of these cowards, when they want to leave the department, this is just my sentiment. A lot of them want to quit, but they say, I'm going to quit, but I'm going to do something outlandish and wicked before I leave this department. And I'm going to get away with it. That's what they think. They're going to get away with it. But now their punk asses was arrested and placed in the same Department of Corrections that they was just working in. They're in that same jail. They probably bailed out by now because the FBA, regardless of if they see that, they'll still back those officers because they're a fraternity and people pay for fraternity dues and they're with their due process. When you see something like that, it shouldn't be no due process. The due process was watching that video. As wicked and outlandish as that video is, they shouldn't receive no due process, and they're guilty. That's not to be, you don't need to explain that. It's self-explanatory. About just watching a damn video, it's self-explanatory. But we have scumbag, wicked, demon lawyers would try to explain that. They would try to give an explanation on why those demons did that to our brother and try to justify it. Not only explain it, they'll try to justify what they did to our brother. Yet, when we see cops, we're supposed to respect them. We're supposed to give them respect, and they say, I'm only doing my job, and they feel their job is to keep their feet on our necks. That's not their job. It's not anybody's job to keep their feet on our neck. In fact, it's our job. Every brother and sister, in particular the brothers, because we're supposed to be the protectors of our wives and our children and all of our female in our families. It's our job to keep their feet off our necks. And if we think that we're going to deal with a violent people non-violently, we are terribly mistaken. These people are violent, and the only language they understand is violence. And some of us will allow one of these wicked demons to put their hands on us, and we don't give or return equal force. You're supposed to return at least the equal force that they put on you. Because if you're within the confines of the law, you're not breaking any law, and just because this police officer happened to having a bad day, or he's in a bad mood, or he feel like he want to victimize you, if he put his hands on you, you should fight back. That's a right that someone can't give you or take away from you. If you have the ability to fight back, you should fight back. But I've seen these demons flip brothers out of their wheelchairs. They'll flip you out your wheelchair. Knowing you can't walk, they'll flip you out your wheelchair. You can't even move, and then they'll put cuffs on you. That's how wicked these people are. And we see these things, and all we do is yell and scream. We need to stop yelling and screaming, unless it's like a kia. When you're saying kia, you're throwing a strike. Either you're blocking or you're striking something. We should be yelling kia and trying to go through something. The only thing I say we shouldn't do is be the aggressor. Yet if someone aggress us violently, I don't care who it is, what their position is, we should fight with those who fight against us like hell to the end. Again, most of these cowards wouldn't even approach us without their weapons. And you will never find them once they get that department issue gun, and when they're able to buy other guns, you'll never find these cowards without a gun. You'll never find them off duty and not carrying. The punks is going to have guns wherever they go and whenever you see them. It's just how cowardly they are. But these guys from Camden County Corrections, Sheriff's Department, they're done. Let's see how many black men they attack now. Let's see how many they attack now. And I hope the brothers in that prison or county corrections gave them a welcoming. I hope that there was a welcome committee to welcome those former sheriff deputies into that jail and make them very, 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 very comfortable, if you know what I mean. They should be made very comfortable. And there should be a welcoming committee to welcome them, their arrival. Yet, they're probably NPC because they'll still get taken care of after that being seen. They'll still take care of them. Yet, if any of the brothers want to come up, like I said before, come through. I'm not going to be on long yet. If any of the family want to come on and have a discussion about these cowards with perceived power, with the so-called law behind them, be my guest. We need to exercise equal power against them when they aggress us like that. I saw something the other day. It wasn't shocking. It was just beautiful to see when I seen the Hebrew Israelites marching down the street like that. For somebody to call these brothers a threat to us, that's a fool. That's a fool. I'm not listening to that foolishness. I don't share their ideology when it comes to religion and all that. I don't share their ideology. But I share that, though. I share those ranks marching down the street, daring somebody to fuck with us. I share that. I definitely share that. I'm with that part. And that's what it's going to come to. It's going to come to that. And if you think it's not, if you think you're going to do all this without getting your scrap on, just keep talking. And don't work out and don't hit the heavy bag and don't train with your brothers. Don't get yourself ready. Don't stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Just keep doing what you're doing. If you think that these people are not going to come after us, you should see that they're already after us. I don't care who it is and what their organization is. If I see a brother in distress, I'm gonna watch a few seconds, and then I'm in that. I'm in it. I just got to make sure that the brother's right. But what I seen, that was right. Those brothers marching down the street like that, that was right. What would have made it more beautiful, other organizations came out and marched with them. That's how that should have happened. Because the United States got the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. We got to have different branches. It's only different branches. Different organizations marching together, that would have made it more beautiful. But we're so divided. Everybody want to be so intellectual and want to be right and want to have all the damn answers when none of us have all the answers, but collectively we do. Put your answers with mine and with the other brother, the other sister, the other brother, the other sister, the other sister, the other brother. Collectively, we have all the answers. Not one person, no one person have all the damn answers. But together we do. We got too many black thinkers not working together. Got too many strong brothers and too many strong sisters to not work together. Peace to the brother Key Norfolk. Peace and power, brother. Too many of us have brilliance, strategic brilliance to not work together. We need to be working together because our numbers is going to be, we're going to recognize that our numbers are going to be our strength. If we don't recognize that, we're not looking. We're just not looking. We have to recognize and we have to organize, strategize, deputize. What I always put those three together: organize, strategize, deputize. That means everybody got to do their part. Whatever your strong point is, do your part. And I'll do my part. And collectively, we get everything done that way. Every part, whether it's big or small, is significant when it come to us taking care of this work. I see something that's not me. If the brother knowledge X, if that's his strong point, I'm going to support him in what he does. Whether it's Bronze Flat Power God, Brother Key Norfolk, any other brothers that's in our ranks, whatever that brother do, I'm going to support that brother. I'm going to cover down because I know the general orders, and we have to cover down in case not covered by inspection. We have to cover down and support each other and make sure our brothers are walking their post in a perfect manner, keeping always on the alert, being mindful of their surroundings. And that's what we have to do. There's too much division, entirely too much division. That's, in all actuality, I'm falling back from a lot of things because we're not talking unity. We're talking individualization when it comes to organization. If you're not with my set, we are knowledge and we're banging on each other. It's too much infighting, and I can't get with it. It drives me nuts because I'm looking at my brothers and my sisters, and they all say they want the same thing, but not willing to get together and achieve it. I can't do that. That's not how I was taught. I was brought up in the Nation of Islam over 30 years, and anybody in our community that wanted to change the dynamic and the condition of our community, we work with them. And we make sure, even if it's a white person, we let that white person know, if you're not here for the interests of our people, you can't help us. Just step back and leave us alone. Let us take care of our business. You can't help us Because 9 times out of 10, when they come and try to help, they try to see what the hell's going on in our community. Yeah, but if we have whites living in our community, peace to my good brother Kyrie of the Enemy's Public, a brother who is my oldest and dearest friend, brother Kyrie. He's more like a brother to me. Thanks for coming through. I'm gonna put the link in the chat if you want to come up. It's in the chat. Yeah, too many of us say we want the same thing. We want better for our people. Yet I don't see us working together. Peace to the brother Key Norfolk. Thanks for coming up, brother. This is the vent part 2. Cowards with perceived power with the law behind them. Because we need to understand that their power, perceived power, is really based on the fear that we have and that we shouldn't have. We give them power with our fear.
Oh yeah, I'm with you 100%. Hey, salutes to you, my brother. As always, I appreciate you for allowing me on the show. I got one particular person in mind. I'm pretty sure we all do, Mr. White. And your explanation that you just gave right now fits his characteristics to the fullest.
I didn't hear them mention that the person that you mentioned. You went out when you mentioned that person.
Oh yeah, Mr. White, Charleston White.
I mean, that's a good name for him. The last name. Charleston White. You know what I'm saying? That's a good name for him because that's who he support.
Oh yeah, you're right about that.
That's probably what he want to be too, so bad.
We got a lot of brothers like that, man, who was just like on the police force and even security guards in prison, man, that they use their authority to just put pressure on a so-called nigga to them. You know what I mean? Like they're a white person, man. That shit is crazy. I lived through it. Seriously.
I know some brothers who are police officers who are totally not like that. I know brothers who are on police departments who are actually NOI brothers. They go out, they do their job, they patrol their community, do their jobs, and when you see them outside their job, they're doing the activist work in the community. I know brothers who does that. So when we say, we can't say every brother who's a cop is a sellout. We can't. And that's wrong because we got good brothers on the force. And not only that, who are going to protect us if we don't have absolutely no brothers on the force? It's just a backwards thinking. We got to have some of those brothers in there to protect us as long as they get on there and do their job and they're not trying to appease and have nearness to our open and consistent enemy, as long as they're not doing that. But yet we have some Negroes, I say brothers with quotes though, only because they, had a potential to be a brother. But some of them, they get on the force and just totally change. The only people you see them hanging around with is cops now once they become a cop. And I never, got that. You can be a police officer and then when you get off, you go hang out with your homies. Nothing wrong with that. As long as your homie is not into criminality. Yeah, if we are going to change our condition, if we're going to change our condition, we're going to have to work together. Or it's not going to work. We have to work together to change our condition. Because the key word is our. You're not going to say it's my condition and not yours, because you cannot rise above the condition of your people. But some of us think we do when we think we have arrived. Some of us think we do. Some of us get money. Some of us get position and think we have risen above the condition of our people. And you can never do that. You can never do that.
That's right. You know, that's the crazy part about it. You know, when you see people the way we envy each other with the money, we can never outrise each other. Like, no matter how much money you got or I got, because we still who and what we are. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And as a collective, you know, we in the passenger seat as a collective.
Yes.
See what I'm saying? So we gotta just take that for what it is. No matter how good a person may be, you know, you meet a brother who, you know, he may be some type of accountant or some 6-figure job. He married, got a wife, kids, but you know, look at his mother or look at his aunt, direct family close to him, sister. You see what I'm saying?
Indeed.
Ain't no structure with it. One person still suffer. You know, they end up supporting a family member who may be struggling or something like that. You know, and just, you know, just to add, we have to start building, you know, those strong economic skills and trade skills and things like that in the home. You know, making the child being comfortable with performing their talent.
Yeah.
Right out the bat.
Exactly. And you have to encourage that. When you see your child want to do something that's of a talent, you should encourage it. You should encourage that among other things, because you know we know that the system is not set up for us, and you have to be mindful and watchful over your child, because the system is wicked also, especially when it comes to entertainment. It's all under one realm now. At one time, sports used to be separated from like actual like performing arts. Now it's all under one umbrella, and you have to be mindful. People don't think that these fighters have to go through the same thing that some of these singers and rappers and all them go through. They have to go through that same thing in order to it's crazy, in order to get punched in the damn face. Some of them go through those same rituals. They have infiltrated every form of art there is. They have infiltrated those people.
Yeah. Yes, they have. You know, and it only gets you know, the bank job only gets smoother and smoother, you know, to almost where it feel like you thanking them for robbing you.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just watching some footage, a clip of Stephen A. Smith saying how upset he is that somebody exposed I think the owner of the Cowboys, I forgot his name. When he was younger, he was in a protest blocking black students from entering the school. They pointed him out. He's probably about 14 or 15 years old. And he was saying this, how despicable it is that they would point that out and drag him after 50, 60 years. And I'm looking at this Negro like, man, you are such a super nigga. You know, he's a we sick massa ass nigga for being like that. Because when the police or regular white folks murder one of us, they'll find a picture of one of us. They'll find a picture when you're frowning your face, when the sun's in your face, so you're frowning, and they'll take that picture, enhance it, and seem like you're mean mugging, or they'll take a picture of you when you was 14, 15 years old in the principal's office after having a schoolyard fight. But they want to have this man is to portray him like he's innocent. I don't care how long ago that was. I don't think any of these people changed the way they are. How Joe Biden is, or how Joe Biden was, is how he is today. He's not called Jim Crow Joe for nothing. How he was in the past when he was calling us niggas, when he was talking about segregation now, segregation forever, when he was talking that nonsense back in the 50s and 60s, that's how he is now. Because everybody get on these election campaigns and talk about making change. They don't make no change. They don't affect no change for us. Our condition remain. When everybody else condition change for the better, ours remain. I always say, I'm going to keep saying it, we got to stop being the suckers in this political process. We got to stop being in any of these parties, because neither one of these parties benefit us. As a matter of fact, America's politics do not benefit us. And now we got some of our people saying that they are with Trump next year. They're saying they with him because Biden is who he is. They'd rather have Trump. No. To vote in this political process is a crime against your damn people. That's a crime against your people. Voting for any of these devils is a crime against your people. They're not talking about doing nothing for us unless they can be specific on what they're going to do for us like they do with everybody down else. We don't fuck with no political parties. We need to be our own party. They need to worry about the black vote. Somebody go find Roland Martin, put some duct tape on his goddamn mouth. And anybody else pushing that Democratic nonsense, put duct tape on their mouth. Because we need to be our own party. They need to be rallying. How are we going to get the black vote? How are we going to get the black vote? Instead of intertwining us and aligning us with any of these parties. That's a crime. It's an outright crime against our people. Now I'm going to take a music break. And I'm going to play the I call myself and the brother Big Dog Philly OG. We call it the anthem, because this is what we feel about the political process, this government that oppress us, and all these boule ass Negroes who say they stand and act on our behalf and don't. And this is the anthem, and this is exactly how I feel about them.
Fuck Steve Harvey, fuck Paula D, fuck Charles Barkley, fuck the mainstream. How the fuck you saying sorry to the white bitch team, but the great and don't apologize to these black queens? Fuck Iggy Azalea, fuck rap magazines, fuck white folk money, fuck Jimmy IV. Niggas got diabetes, fuck cake, fuck cream, fuck the edited version, fuck keeping shit clean. Fuck Dan Wilson and fuck how that sound. That fuck didn't give a fuck about Mike Brown. Fuck grand juries, fuck sundown town, fuck feeling sympathetic when a cop shot down. Fuck concentrated poverty, apartheid scores, fuck CNN, fuck corporate news, fuck diamond and fuck cracker ass bitch, fuck peace and white people, fuck elephants in the room. Giuliani, Bill O'Reilly, Fox News, Truth Protector, Chris Christie, Sarah Palin, Michelle Bradley, Rush Limbaugh. Fuck trying to be the first black anything here. Fuck nigga, fuck men, fuck you and your queer peers. Fuck a tea party full of salty ass crackers. Fuck anything spoken from a dumbed down rapper. Fuck niggas who think money make a dumb nigga snort. Fuck crackers who think neck the back when assholes talk. Fuck over for being scared of what whites might think. If she open a school here to teach young black queens. Fuck police and fuck Drake for giving $35 million to a school full of overfed rich white children. Fuck integration and fuck deleting blacks. Fuck capitulation, sincerely fuck that. Fuck Eminem, fuck culture appropriators. Fuck Macklemore, fuck children of slave traders. Fuck Democrats and fuck Republicans. Fuck America and the Republic for which it stands. Jefferson, Abe Lincoln, Richard Nixon, Lyndon Johnson, Ronald Reagan, Bill Bush, Barack Obama. Fuck niggas who try to blame Mike Brown for his own death. Fuck cops who takes kids in the face for petty theft. Fuck the cop who shot Ayanna Jones as she slept. Fuck cops who murder blacks with whites they make arrests. Fuck Reagan and the prison industrial complex. Fuck a war on drugs and fuck being oppressed. Fuck the ICC and the IMF. Fuck your cut type of C. Fuck your codified theft. Find every single one of you haters of black flesh. Fuck Europe, fuck England, fuck the entire West. Fuck devils on the right, fuck devils on the left. Wait for me to give a fuck, don't hold your fucking breath. Fuck fearing the police, fuck changing the way I dress. If Black Lives Matter, fuck a peaceful protest. Fuck more body cam, fuck sensitivity training. Fuck marching and complaining the practice who ain't changing. Viacom, BET, MTV, Universal, Warner Brothers, Interscope, Sony Music.
Earlier today, I was watching a clip of Denzel Washington when he was talking about Jewish execs when he was doing a movie. And the movie was about, he was supposed to be a rapist, and they was trying to execute him. I think it was called The Nigga That Couldn't Kill. And he let them have it. I'm going to play the clip.
The sitting party, I was very fortunate. In fact, he came to I talked to him before that, but I think it was when he came to Soldier's Play. And he said, "You're good."
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and wow. I got a part in a movie in 1986. I called it The Nigga They Couldn't Kill.
Oh.
Yeah, he was supposed to be, he raped a white woman, and they tried to electrocute him, but it didn't work. And he became sort of a cult hero. No, not that one. That was the other awful one. But and then they tried to hang him, and they tried to do all this stuff. And I had a lot of training day in me. And there were some Jewish people in the audition, and I said, yeah. They said, no, it's funny. It's like they hang them and then they can't. I said, yeah, like you bring some Jewish people into a room and they think it's a shower, but it's gas. Oh. And they said, right. I said, right. That ain't funny. Mm. So to me, it wasn't funny about putting a rope around my MFing neck either. I made a point. The guy was like, who the hell is this little nigga talking like this? So anyway, make a long story long, I called Sidney and I was sick because he told me to call him. If I said, man, they offered me $600,000 to play the nigga they couldn't kill. And he said, I'm not going to tell you what to do. He said, I'm not going to tell you that, Denzel. He says, but I can tell you this. The first 2 or 3 or 4 films you do in this business will dictate how you're perceived in this business. So you make a decision. You know, he didn't tell me what to do, and I give him credit for that. And I turned it down, and 6 months later, I got Cry Freedom and got an Oscar nomination. So it could have gone an entirely, you know, you never know.
Which is the reason why we need to stand tall and stand strong. The same thing happened to Dave Chappelle when he was doing the movie Blue Streak with Martin Lawrence. They tried to get him to wear a dress, and he refused to wear a dress. They called the producers in, they called the director in, they called everybody they could in, and he said he's not wearing a dress. And then Martin told him, leave him alone. And then he even threatened to walk away from the project if they stopped trying to get him to wear a dress. And when they realized that he wasn't going to wear the dress, they brought the original script out. So that's the thing. The funniest thing to them is seeing us in a dress, and they want to take the biggest and the strongest of us and effeminize us. Like they'll take a man big and strong like a Terry Crews and put him in pink on a commercial. They put him in pink, or they'll have him wearing pink suits on America's Got Talent. A big 6'3", 250-pound man wearing pink. A bodybuilder, football player wearing pink. That's what they do. They'll have us wearing these fruity colors only to effeminize us, because something about our masculinity that is a threat to them. The number one threat to racism, white supremacy, is not black males, because black males, some of them are homosexuals, but the number one threat to racism, white supremacy, anti-blackness is black masculinity. That's the number one threat, black masculinity. And they guard themselves against that. Now, I want to speak briefly, very briefly, only because I want to make a point. When crimes are being committed, or even not necessarily a crime, resistance, because it is crimes being committed against LGBTQ, but I'm talking about resistance. I don't believe in bashing them. As long as they keep that behavior away from me, they don't have to worry about nothing. Just keep it in a very, 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 very safe distance from me. Yet, even resistance to that behavior, people call you a hater, or they call you a basher. But what would they call this LGBTQ member that was filming a young black woman getting beaten to death in Mexico? I think her name Shaquilla Robinson. What would they call that? From my understanding, they said it was one of those men. It was a man beating on her. A man beat on her also. One thing I don't like, because it's impossible, is a man competing with a woman in womanhood, because he can't do it on her worst day. He can't do it with the ugliest woman on her worst day. He can't be her. Under no circumstance, I don't care what he put on, I don't care what he take off. He can't be a woman. Can't. Impossible. And to have all these men competing with women on any level, especially being a woman, but now they got them competing with women in sports. This is the vent. Cowards with perceived power with the law backing them. Because if you can't be yourself, you're a damn coward. You can't be what you were born to be, you're a damn coward. And the law backs them. So it is consistent with the title. I watched a video of a man boxing a woman. You can't beat a man, so you'll get in the ring with a woman. You can't dunk on men playing basketball, so you will put a wig on and you'll compete with women in these sports, swimming, basketball, boxing. My sentiment is, if they want to compete with women, I really think that they should, if they have operations, they should get those cramps, those menstrual cramps. They should get those. You should get everything that come with it. The hot flashes. They should get all that. Because they're trying to do something that is the impossible. And I can't stand it. Yet, the young sister who was beaten to death down in Mexico, they said a man was beating on her also. And the one I seen on the thumbnail didn't look like a female to me. Did not look like a female. Looked like a guy dressed as a female. And not only that, the video footage that I seen was a guy filming it. Another thing that I'm tired of, hearing a man behind the camera egging on a fight between women or anybody, instead of getting between them and breaking it up, he's encouraging it, asking her, are you going to fight back, when he should have been in between the women. He should have been stopping all of that. His ass should be charged for encouraging that nonsense. We are in terrible, perilous time, and it's so easy to infiltrate us today. Easy. Again, they do it with isolation. It's so easy to do that. If they want to discourage us, defame us, all they have to do is isolate us, use their propaganda machine, and then pay some of our own people, or the people that are already paying, give them the nudge to pile on us also. Some of us don't even have to stand up and be tall. Some of us are tall sitting down, yet are punks. Punks. It seems like the bigger the so-called brother is, the more of a coward he is. Charles Barkley said that we treat the LGBT community the worst. You don't see us shooting up the clubs. We're not shooting up the clubs. It's white men that's doing that. Member of that community watched a young lady get beat to death and did nothing about it. The reason why he didn't do nothing about it because he was in competition with her. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And they're going to up the ante. Why? Because they're desperate. Because they see that their talking points are dying and people are challenging those talking points. Because with the anti-Semitic thing, they knew Kyrie Irving was an anti-Semitic, so they used a new word, trope. That's a word they never use. I've been around 56 years. I never heard the word trope because the word trope is baseless. It's baseless. It's a baseless word that they can use to say, okay, the movie had an anti-Semitic trope. A trope. Yet, if they talked to us, in which they won't do, they'll rather just silence us. They talk to us, namely, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. That is exposure to talk to him. That's exposure. They'll never do that because that's exposure. He's been asking to talk to them 40 years. They refuse to talk to him because it's exposure. They won't be able to say the things that they say unchallenged, unlike they do with the milquetoast capitulating Negroes. They won't be able to do that with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan or anybody in the nation. As a matter of fact, the minister can send any one of his ministers. He don't even have to go, but he's the one. But he don't have to go. He can send anybody he taught to deal with them and defeat them. Anyone. Yet they won't talk to us. He can send anybody in his research department to talk to them. And they'll be defeated. They will be embarrassed. They'll be exposed. And that's the reason why they'll rather just take them off all of social media. They'd rather do that than to speak with that brother or any of his research department. Again, I say I'm not going to be on here long. This is just the vent. Cowards with perceived power, with the law, the so-called law behind them. This is the enemy's public. I am Bro.Nasir. Like, share, subscribe. Leave a comment in the comment section. Thanks to all the brothers for coming through. The brother King Norfolk, brother Kyrie from the enemy's public, Brown's Flat Power God, Knowledge X.
Bye.